Hey everyone, I'm Ryan. You're watching 60 Cycle Hum, and yeah, that's right. I did it. I just did it. I played surf guitar through the Boss Hm-2. I've had people commenting lately because I keep mentioning that I have an Hm-2 on my board, and people are like, you have an Hm-2 on your board? Yeah, I've got an Hm-2 on my board, okay? It's no big deal. Oh. And it's a Japanese one too. I don't know if any were made outside of Japan, but I will say that years and years and years and years ago, when I was more focused on flipping pedals to make a buck here and there, the Hm-2 was a sure bet every time. And this was before they were going for the big money they go for now. They were going for like 150, 175 every now and then and things like that. I was picking them up used, local, obviously used. I was picking them up local for probably like 75 to 100 bucks, something like that. And then I would flip them on to Reverb for more, obviously. Well, I went through probably like 5 or 6 of them, and then I landed on this one, and something about this particular one just spoke to me. There's something about the EQ of it, there's something about the vibe of it that just felt different than the others. I strongly believe that there are Hm-2s that are different than the others, because I remember the others being more brittle, maybe more high gain, more metal voiced, where this is kind of, it's got more of like a mid focus to it. I'm not totally sure how to describe it, but anyways, I thought it would be fun to kind of show off how I like to use it, and then I want to do a great big shootout against all sorts of other distortion pedals that I have laying around here, just to show off the unique characteristics of the Hm-2, and maybe help, you know, people who are shopping for these, who are wondering, what's the deal? What's the deal with the Hm-2? I feel like the Hm-2's, you know, it's got uses outside of, you know, your heavy metal, death metal type stuff there. And I thought it would be fun to have a video kind of showing that off, and then kind of exploring, you know, the tonal range of this pedal. Because it's not, it can be. You can turn it all the way up. You can turn everything all the way up and do the Swedish chainsaw thing. But I think there's more to it. And actually, I was planning on making this video for, you know, the better part of the week. And then last night, Matt Knight and Yoshi, the owner of Boss Pedals, the president over there, did a live video and revealed that they're going to make Wazacraft Hm-2. So that's timely anyways. So let's talk about my use of this thing while doing some surf rock here like I just did, and then we'll get into the rest of it. I'm going to shoot it out against, you know, this pile of other distortion pedals I have here at the end. Am I getting too ADD for you guys? Am I too off track? So anyways, let's talk about using the Hm-2 for surf guitar sounds. If you're like most people, you probably associate surf guitar with sparkling clean, like Fendery sounds through a lot of reverb. And, you know, that's certainly true for the vast majority of surf music. But there is precedent. There is precedent for using high gain sounds in surf guitar. The very first track that I'm aware of in any music to recorded using a fuzz pedal, not a fuzz, because there's previous tracks that used broken, you know, recording desks and stuff like that that gave that sound. But the first time a fuzz pedal was used was by the Ventures, a surf band, on the song 2,000 Pound Bee. And then you have bands like Davey Allen and the Arrows that lean heavily into like a Univox sort of sound. And then proto surf, before even surf happens, you've got Link Ray, who's, you know, razor blading speakers to get distortion and stuff like that. There is a lot of dirty sounds in surf guitar. It's just not the thing that you think of when you immediately think of surf guitar. So anyways, I tend to think of the Hm-2 as kind of a fuzz-voiced distortion, which is why I think it works. The EQ of this particular one seems to be more mid-focused than I'd expect from Hm-2s. Like I said, I think this is a special one. I don't know what makes it special. I might be completely tripping. But it just works. There's something about it that just fits in the mix for me. I've never used it with my surf band, but when I'm messing around playing in the garage here, like I do most of the time now, I think it works out really nice. And honestly, I could see myself using it with the band. I could see myself using it in recordings. So let's check out real quick how it does. Slamming into that surfy reverb. Reverb provided by the Surfy Bear reverb, by the way. We'll try turning the gain all the way up. There it is with the gain all the way down. I actually want to hear that without the reverb. You see what I mean about the fuzz kind of qualities of it? I like that. Just for fun, let's do the Swedish chainsaw setting. Enough of that nonsense. Now I want to have some fun exploring it in a more normal way with a humbucker guitar that I can dive bomb if I want to. This is the Harley Benton Fusion, and I think I'm going to shoot it out against some other classic high gain distortion pedals and a few non-classics, some modern classics, I guess you could say. We'll start with the Metal Zone. Metal Zone! Obviously, I mean, you know, it goes without saying that the Metal Zone is one of the most infamous distortion pedals in existence. This is the one everyone makes jokes about, and I think it's because this is a pedal we all buy. When we're teenagers starting out, when you first start playing guitar, you want to sound as massive and ridiculous as possible. And the guitar store clerks know that this is the one that's going to do it for you. It's going to take you there. It's going to give you the most extreme distortion you've ever played with in your entire life. And then someday you're going to grow up and you're going to realize, oh yeah, I don't actually need that much gain to make the music that I like to make. And actually all these like classic sounds that I love don't use nearly that much distortion. And the mids, where are the mids? I've been scooping the mids. I need the mids back. So anyways, let's kind of explore some of the classic tones that this can produce. I feel like right there, that's the sound that most people think they're going to get with an Hm-2 by turning it all the way up. And they're not totally wrong. If you're hitting a hot amp with it, you're going to end up with something in that approximation. But the way I like to run an Hm-2 sounds totally different. When you're a teenager, that doesn't sound as interesting, but this sounds just like a cartoon, right? Sounds the way like a cartoon metal band would sound, right? But, I mean, I'm a proponent for these. I think it's fine to use a metal zone, but I think you need a bit of maturity to figure out how to use the honestly very powerful mids control here. You have the ability to scoop or boost the mids and then select which band of mids you are scooping or boosting. It's very powerful and very intuitive. It's just a highly abused pedal. Next up is the Rat. This, of course, is a Rat 2. A Rat as well. This one is Keeley modified. One of the switch selections up here is a stock selection. I actually don't remember which side is stock and which is not. But let's see how it compares to my preferred Hm-2 setting. I'm gonna have to do this more quickly to get through all the pedals. It's actually not that far off. Similar kind of loose grit, distortion, edge of fuzzy gain characteristic there. I think this Rat kind of sounds better in person right now. The Rat, by the way, going back to like the surfy thing, it's been a trick for rockabilly and surfy type guys to bring the distortion all the way back on a Rat. For like a more like clean-ish, crispy kind of sound. How does this compare? slightly different kind of EQ stack between these two. You have like a very filtered thing here. You have a 2-band low and high EQ shaper. Actually, I should do a little pinch harmonic here. Compare pinch harmonics. Obviously, the Hm-2 is better at being a metal voiced pedal. Next up, another boss. The DS1. Another pedal that I think gets a bad rap because it's the one that every single guitar shop employee tries to sell you on because they're affordable. They do the thing. They're well known. And because of that, I think it gets a bad rap. There's totally lots of fun uses for a DS1. It's one of those pedals that sounds great for a lead pedal before delay. All right, back to the Hm-2. You can really hear that mid-focus going on right now. Bring back the highs to pull the mids a bit, level up. Great, I think. The DS1 doesn't get enough love. I think it's a great pedal. This is like a brand new one too, by the way. Steve left that here. He got it in the in one of those pedal stocking things. I think like a year ago. I asked him to leave it because I might make some content with it, and it's taken me this long to get to it. Another extremely infamous distortion, the DOD Grunge. This is a butt face version of the Grunge. You can see it's got this really cool mod where the battery clip is missing and they're just hanging out the back. I don't have the back plate because of course I don't. And this is one I'm not expecting to hold up very well to the Hm-2, but we'll see what happens, right? Again, I think this is the kind of pedal where it makes the sound people think this is gonna make, but this is so much more of a restrained, mature kind of EQ characteristic. Even the gain itself is not this over-the-top ridiculousness that you get from the Grunge. The Grunge is just stupid. And something to consider is that by itself, outside of a mix, the Hm-2 sounds kind of muddier in a way. And what's going on there is that you're hearing mid frequencies, and those mid frequencies are what is going to make it's going to make it jump out of the mix better with a band, where these super scooped sorts of sounds you get out of the grunge and even the metal zone on the settings that people do in a misguided sort of way. They sound great at home. They sound great to the teenage ear, like I was talking about earlier, where it's like, oh wow, it just sounds so massive and huge and ridiculous, and it's very impressive at home, but it just completely disappears in a band mix because you're fighting the low end from the bass guitar and the bass drums, and you're fighting the highs from the cymbals and the crashes and the rides and the singer and everything else, and you need to live in that mid frequency that the heavy metal hits so nicely. So yeah, the grunge just... I feel like the grunge deserves to be a joke more than the metal zone, and certainly more than the DS1. The DS1 is a beautiful, usable distortion. I've heard that the grunge... I've heard that the grunge can sound great with baritone though, so maybe I should try that out. Next up is a newer one from Tysco. I actually really like all the new Tysco pedals. They certainly are lookers. I mean, look at the case on this thing. Just very, very charming. It's a double-sided thing. Lots and lots of tweakability on the Tysco, but I haven't shot it out against anything. So we'll see how it holds up. Now, like I mentioned, lots and lots of tweakability here. You have a tight switch, a muscle switch. You have a boost side that boosts into the distortion for more distortion if you want. You have a tone control and a presence control. So there's a lot of different ways you can dial in the Tysco distortion. Honestly, it sounds like it might live in a similar territory. It really doesn't. The Tysco is more like honky, actually more mids going on here, so it might do really well in a mix. It makes the Hm-2 sound, in comparison, more like what you would expect versus the way it compares to other pedals. That's interesting. All right, on to some modern classics here. Revv came out with a line of pedals a couple of years ago, I want to say, 2 or 3 years ago, that are meant to kind of represent the different gain channels of their amplifiers. This is the G3. I tend to prefer the G4 and the G2. The G3 just has a bit of like a, I think it's voiced to metal. It's more voiced towards that kind of like nasal sort of sound. There we go, that's what I like. Yeah, I much prefer the G4 to the G3. And then the G2 is a lighter gain option. I mean, it's Revv, so it's still pretty spicy. And no, it's not a tube screamer. Just because it's green doesn't mean it's a tube screamer, okay? Totally different gain character. I'm going to say the G2 is pretty much my favorite of the Revv line, but that G4 leans into the high gain sound a lot better. Red and green, Christmas is coming up. Those look good together, depending on when you're watching this. Might as well, because we're here. I've got three more. I got three more pedals. Let's do the Iron Horse by Walrus Audio. Pretty sure this is the version 2. I've got a barefoot buttons on there that says "Don't be a dick." Good rule to live by. This is based on a Rat. I could compare it to the Rat, but no, let's not worry about that. I feel like the Iron Horse is less like the Hm-2 than the actual Rat was. It has a completely different tone stack than a normal Rat, in that it doesn't have that like highly filtered sort of thing going on. It has different mode switches here. I really like the Iron Horse, but I don't think it really does the Hm-2 thing at all. I mean, none of these pedals really do. That's not what this is about. This is more about exploring the differences in sounds to give a bearing on why the Hm-2 is what it is and why it's great and why I like it anyways. So this is the 5050. This is my signature overdrive. It's really two DOD 250s side by side. That's all it is. We need to make more of these. Leon is waiting for me to get him new art, and then we're gonna make more. So stay tuned for that. But anyways, I usually use this in a very sort of light gain kind of way. Or at least like a mid-gain sort of way. It has this loose grit kind of distortion, torn speaker kind of quality that I really like, basically on double noon settings. That's how I run all my DOD 250s. But, I mean, it's a double distortion. So if you stack the other side into... all the gain you need from the 5050, but the Hm-2 just does the metal voicing better. Way better. I mean, in fact, it just does it. The 5050 does not do the metal voicing thing. I think it's the lack of low end. That Hm-2, it just sounds good, right? So this is a pedal that in the past, I've been able to dial a very Hm-2 similar sound out of it. It's the Angry Driver by Boss Pedals. It's a collaboration with JHS Pedals. You can see the logo right there. It's their Angry Charlie combined with the Blues Driver with all kinds of different mixing options here. Let's see if I left it on the heavy metal setting. I'm sure if I spent the time dialing it in, I could find that sound that I thought was so close. To me, they have a very similar drive character in the parallel setting. That's when you've got the Angry Driver and the Blues Driver running side by side and then remixing after the fact. There's something to that. I think this is a really fun pedal. It's got those stacked knobs for a tone for each side and a drive for each side and a volume for each side. So there's a lot of possibilities there. But man, I don't know, the heavy metal is just its own thing. It does a great job of that metal sound. At least I think so anyways. And I don't think it's, needs to be dimed all the way across the board the way people say. I mean, if you're doing the Swedish death metal thing, then sure, do that. That's part of the genre. But I think it's totally usable for just high gain sounds for everyone else too. And now that it sounds like Boss is gonna re-release them as a Wazacraft, I bet they're gonna sell 1 billion. I'll bet they'll sell 1 billion of these. Hopefully it eclipses the Metal Zone. They need to stop pushing the Metal Zone, and every teenager that walks into a guitar shop, push the Hm-2 instead. I think it'll be a better distortion education. Should I stack any of these? It'll just get stupid if I stack them, right? Let's do the classics. Here we go. Classic orange and black sort of send-off for this video. I'm not going to include... Oh, God. Okay, I'll do it. All right. I'll do it. It was going to look so cool. All these orange and black pedals. And then the grunge just has to be different. It's got to be purple. Cool. Thanks, grunge pedal. You ruined my whole vibe here. But we got to do it. Classic distortion pedals, all stacked. We'll see what they sound like. Here we go, stacking time. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, dislike, leave me a rude and nasty comment, support us on Patreon. Stay tuned. I'm going to do an affordaboard version of this where I take all the metal pedals and distortion pedals that I've gotten so far and I shoot them out against a couple of these classics. I think we'll do the Hm-2, we'll do the Rat, we'll do the distortion, and if it comes to it, we'll bring in the Metal Zone and the grunge. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm waiting for an affordaboard pedal to come in to do that. But anyways, bye everyone. Stay grounded.